In the courtroom, the ones who have the stakes stacked against them the most are the ones who take the lives of those who have sworn to protect and serve the people. Today, we bring you the most gripping moments where these cop killers finally face justice for what they did. Witness their unfiltered emotions as their sentences are being handed to them.
Corrections, I think we've established everything we need to do in a first appearance hearing. He can be taken after he signs the no contact.
Now, this especially was because so much of his defense tactic was predicated on intent, trying to show that Vickers, due to the chaos of the area, did not intentionally shoot officers. Mazurkowitz and Sang, or Adam, as you said, should or should not have known.
On July 21st, 2022, the Rochester Police Department was involved in a shootout with supposed gang members. The reason for this shootout was because they were looking for the man who had caused the death of two men barely 48 hours ago. The two men who finally caught this man would be harmed as well, one of them fatally. The perpetrator of all these murders? Kelvin Vickers. 21-year-old Kelvin Vickers was on the run after shooting and killing 25-year-old Migel Rand and 19-year-old Ricky Collins. They had been involved in a gang turf war, and Vickers and a member of his gang fatally shot these two men. It would later be revealed that neither of these two men was involved in the gang war and had been on their way to a musical event. As a result of this deadly shooting, police officers Anthony Mazurkowitz and Sino Sang were dispatched to the same street to watch out for the killer. The two of them had been in an unmarked vehicle as they were investigating. However, Vickers was waiting for any police officers to appear, and the moment he saw Anthony and Sino, he walked up to the back of their car, ambushed the two officers, and shot through the glass approximately 16 times. This shooting spree caused Sino Sang to get shot in the ankle, thigh, and shoulder. Anthony, on the other hand, was shot at least twice in his upper body, besides all the other areas the bullets pierced through. Anthony and Sang were rushed to the hospital, where Anthony later died at night. Vickers was eventually found an hour later, where he was hiding underneath a crawlspace, holding a loaded gun which police believed he was going to use to attack police officers again. Vickers was arrested and charged for the murder of the two earlier victims and the aggravated murder of Anthony Mazurkowitz, as well as the attempted murder of Sino Sang. The murder trial of Kelvin Vickers was long and his sentencing was delayed, but he could not escape justice forever. On February 29, 2024, it was finally time for Vickers to be sentenced. As per court procedures, the victims' family members were allowed to give impact statements.
He's just a number. Now you have no name. You were Kelvin Vickers before, but now you're just a number.
The widow of Anthony told the court how brave her husband was and honored his memory before turning to Vickers and telling him how he was a sad excuse for a human being. She also requested that the judge give Vickers the maximum sentence without the possibility of parole. The mother of Vickers' first victim, Richard Collins, also gave an impact statement. All through the lengthy impact statements, Vickers was dry-eyed and showed no remorse whatsoever for his actions. Eventually, Vickers was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
Vickers, due to the chaos of the area, did not intentionally shoot officers. Mazurkowitz and Sang, or Adam, as you said, should or should not have known.
As you just saw, Kelvin smirked, smiled, and didn't care about the emotions of his victims' families. Even when asked to speak at his sentencing or apologize for his actions, he declined and was led away. If you thought Kelvin Vickers' reactions during sentencing and trial were unrepentant, you're in for a huge shock when you witness how Markeith Lloyd took his trial and sentencing.
They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit till I resisted, but I crawled out to the so how did I resist? I ain't resist shit. They just did that shit. They tried to hide it from the news people, but I'm here right now.
Corrections, I think we've established everything we need to do in a first appearance hearing. He can be taken after he signs the no contact.
The case of Markeith Lloyd is surrounded by violence and a severe lack of responsibility. In Orlando, Florida, on December 13, 2016, Markeith shot and killed his girlfriend, Sade Dixon, while she was pregnant with their unborn child. While trying to defend her, Dixon's brother was also shot and injured by Markeith. After he saw what he had done, Markeith took off, and it took law enforcement about 2 weeks before they found him. Unfortunately, the woman who spotted him was alone, and once again, Markeith took the life of another person. On January 9, 2017, an Orlando police officer, Lieutenant Deborah Clayton, spotted Markeith leaving a Walmart store. Lieutenant Deborah tried to arrest Markeith, but he shot her and killed her. He shot her 4 times, and one of them was in the neck, causing the death of Lieutenant Clayton. The murder of Lieutenant Deborah caused a large-scale manhunt to be set up to find Markeith. There was also a bounty on his head, and a substantial sum was promised to whoever had information leading to his capture. 8 days later, on January 17, 2017, Markeith was finally arrested after he was found hiding in an abandoned house. When the police found him, he was accused of resisting arrest, and this caused the police officers who found him to use force. This resulted in Markeith getting a severely damaged eye and swollen face. Markeith was injured, and he was given medical treatment before he was taken into custody. What Markeith did sparked outrage because he not only murdered 2 adults, he murdered his unborn child. He was finally faced with charges. He was charged with 2 counts of first-degree murder for the murder of Sade Dixon and Deborah Clayton, attempted murder for shooting Ronald Stewart, Sade's brother, and aggravated murder with a firearm, among other charges. Because of the gravity of what Markeith had done, many people didn't want to defend him. As a result, he acted as his own defense attorney.
This how Donald Trump writing that stuff off and still. I'm not even really the defendant. I'm a flesh and blood person. That's a cooperation y'all done charged. That's a legal fiction.
The first time Markeith appeared in the courthouse after murdering his victims, he showed no remorse whatsoever and showed severe disrespect in the court.
They done broke my nose, broke my jaw. They did all this shit till I resisted, but I crawled out to the so how did I resist? I ain't resist shit. They just did that shit. They tried to hide it from the news people, but I'm here right now.
Corrections, I think we've established everything we need to do in a first appearance hearing. He can be taken after he signs the no contact.
Lloyd did not care that he was standing in front of a judge and proceeded to yell swear words at the judge. The police said the use of force was necessary in catching Markeith, especially since he was dangerous and kept resisting. This was the beginning of a long trial. During his trial, Lloyd's mental health was questioned, and a psychologist said he exhibited signs of schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. However, when he was asked, Lloyd said he didn't believe he was crazy, and said he was only insane at the time of the murders, and not overall insanity. Before his sentencing for the murder of Lieutenant Clayton in 2021, Markeith had already begun to serve the life sentence without the possibility of parole for the murder of Sade Dixon and her unborn child in 2019. So, in November 2021, by the unanimous recommendation of the jury, Markeith Lloyd was sentenced to death for the murder of Lieutenant Deborah Clayton. This was added to the sentence he was already serving for the murder of his ex-girlfriend.
The State of Florida versus Markeith Lloyd. Verdict, count 1. We, the jury, find as follows as to count 1 of the charge. The defendant is guilty of first-degree murder of a law enforcement officer.
Markeith, compared to the time he had first appeared in court after his crimes, kept completely quiet and stared blankly at the jury and the judge as his sentence was read to him. While Markeith Lloyd insisted that he wasn't crazy, the only reason Humberto Delgado Jr. was ever called a cop killer was because of his mental health.
But mostly, I want to speak to you. You. I will not speak your name. You are not worthy of such respect.
The case of Humberto Delgado Jr. is a strong reminder of why signs of mental illness should not be ignored and to avoid severe confrontation without enough information. In Tampa, Florida, in August 2009, Police Corporal Michael Roberts was shot and killed by Delgado. As it was later revealed, Roberts had seen Delgado push a shopping cart around in an area that was known for shopping cart thefts by homeless people. Delgado was homeless and had been pushing a shopping cart that was full of his belongings to a veterans hospital where he was hoping to find shelter. Delgado suffered from serious knee pain, and he walked 15 miles to the hospital where Roberts saw him in the area. Because that area was known for thefts and Delgado was homeless, Roberts stopped him and demanded identification. After Delgado showed Roberts his driver's license and a veteran identification card, Roberts began to search the shopping cart and demanded to see what was in the backpack that Delgado was carrying. Unknown to Roberts, the backpack that Delgado was carrying had 4 firearms stowed away in it. When Delgado became worried that they would be found, he tried to run. Michael quickly assessed the situation and tasered Delgado. Delgado resisted, and the two of them got into a fistfight. Not long after, Delgado shot and killed Roberts. He called and told his uncle that he had murdered a police officer and was going to kill himself as well. He asked for his uncle's forgiveness and hung up. However, he was found an hour later hiding in a woodpile and arrested. Delgado was charged, and the prosecutor told the court that he had committed premeditated, aggravated murder. However, the defense attorney told the court that Delgado was plagued by mental illness and had a long history with mental illness. Quite sadly, it was later revealed that Delgado was a former police officer, and while he worked, he developed a sense of extreme paranoia and abnormal behavior. His paranoia eventually made him into what the defense attorney called a conspiracy theorist. He had been invited to join the Masons, but he turned down the invitation, claiming that they wanted to kill him. After this invitation, his paranoia got worse, and he left his job as a police officer altogether. Shortly after, he divorced his wife, left his home, and began wandering the streets, telling everyone who heard that 50 Cent was after him and trying to kill him. He would also force his children to comply with his delusions, and whenever they went anywhere, they had to lie down on the floor of the car because Delgado told his children they had special blood and people were looking for them. He made them lie down to prevent people from seeing them through the transparent glass. Delgado was hospitalized multiple times, and he was eventually diagnosed with bipolar I disorder with psychotic features. When he was tested, however, it was shown that Delgado was not under the influence of any drug or alcohol at the time he shot Roberts. During the trial, Delgado said he was sorry and claimed that he didn't mean to shoot Roberts, so this caused the prosecution to argue that Delgado was in a stable state when he killed Roberts. Eventually, the judge sentenced Delgado to death, and he was put on Florida death row.
For the murder of Corporal Michael Roberts, this court sentences you to be put to death in the manner prescribed by law.
You can see the video that Delgado showed no emotion as his sentence was being read and only cracked his neck. A few years ago, however, in 2015, the death penalty that was given to Delgado was overturned and he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole instead. It was said that no matter what had happened, Delgado could no longer be charged with aggravated murder because he did not have the capacity to obey the law because of his condition. It was eventually ruled that he could not be awarded the death penalty because it was an inappropriate sentence compared to other cases of aggravated murder. Get ready for another gripping installment that will leave you on the edge of your seat in our next video: dirty cops reacting to life sentences.